Hello, everybody. So today was a long-awaited day for Rivian investors. They have introduced their R2 as well as R3 and another R3 variant. So they actually introduced a bunch of plans. Of course, the main plan, the main thing we focus on is the R2. This is the R2. It's a five-seater, and you may know that the R1S was actually up to a seven-seater, but two of those seats are not real seats, maybe more like back seats. The cars, as you can see, are very similar in my view. Of course, this is a medium size. This is a slightly smaller car, but as far as the looks goes, they're very similar. And to me, this is clearly a brand that tries to compete with Jeep. Maybe this bigger model tries to compete with some of the SUVs like the Suburbans that you see in the US, that type of stuff. But I find that generally the R2 is a low risk choice, and there's already demand for this size factor or vehicle. And of course, there's launching in 2026. So that's really not something that I think we should worry about if we invest in the stock. I mean, I don't own the stock, but if you own the stock, I don't think you should worry about that up until 2026. But I want to point out that there's the market reacted positively to the news that the R2 is coming, but not necessarily because of the R2. And I wish I had seen a buzz on the car, and people say, "Oh, this car is extraordinary," kind of like the Cybertruck. That would have been a reason, in my view, to like the stock even more. But the stock went up because they made a surprise announcement. There was a surprise announcement that the R2 is going to be produced in Normal, Illinois, in their plant over there, and not in a plant in Georgia. And the analysts, if you listen to the call, the analysts kept questioning on the call that plant in Georgia. Well, these plans now have been put to hold, and it's a good thing. They only did some work to the land, only did grading in Georgia. They didn't do any intense or any heavy construction just yet. Well, these plans have been paused, and that's logical because, of course, the demand for the Rivian products is not nearly as high as they had anticipated. So they're going to do everything in one plant, and that one plant will have a 215,000 unit a year capacity with the R2 and the R1, so much bigger production than what we're able to sell right now. But the market is loving this. I mean, and of course, you have a bunch of journals in Georgia near Atlanta who are complaining about this, but they're behind a paywall, so we can't really read anything they're writing that's behind a paywall. But of course, the 7,500 jobs that were planned in that region near Atlanta are a little upset. But as commentary from the company, pausing the Georgia construction at this time and pausing the plant, and who knows where that plant will ever happen or not, pausing it at this time means that they're going to save $2.5 billion in savings. 2.5 billion. So assuming they would have spent that, say, on the next 2 year period, saving that much money may very well buy them one extra year, right? So now you have a 3 year runway instead of a 2 year runway. That was a very smart thing to do. They have a 4.45 billion net cash position, and they can now make that last much longer because they're likely going to be burning way less cash now that they do not have to build that new plant in Georgia. Maybe they will burn 1 billion in cash, maybe 1.25 billion. So not as much as the over 2 billion in cash that we're used to them burning. So this was a very good news, mostly because of the fact that the R2 is going to be produced in Illinois, and that the giant expansion plants in Georgia, this company was kind of behaving like Tesla a little bit in 2021 with giant plants. Those plants are being put on hold, and it's very prudent. It's a very good thing. Now, this is it for Rivian. I just wanted to update the spreadsheet that I provided this morning, and I added 3 stocks to that spreadsheet. So my commentary is largely the same. The spreadsheet hasn't changed, but many of you in my comment section recommended that I add NIO, and I also added Xpeng because I know it's a Chinese company that's often brought up, and I also added Mazda, which is not really an electric play because they don't really have any electric cars. They only have hybrids. But so let me continue my commentary. So NIO with the numbers, okay, well, great for NIO, great for Xpeng. These two companies are going to see increased demand in their electric cars, at least predicted. They're also gross margin positive, so they don't lose money. Great for both NIO and Xpeng. Now, of course, the valuation is where it gets problematic. You're nearly a 1 for NIO and a 6.8, almost a 7 for Xpeng. And these companies still lose money from an EBITDA margin standpoint. So you don't get, of course, nearly a rule of 40. You get a minus 11 and a minus 10% because of the lack, not the lack of growth, but because of the great loss in EBITDA margin. Now, special mention for Mazda, and again, I want to put that with a grain of salt, because Mazda, of course, they have electric plants. Everybody has electric plants, but the question is, can they make it or not? But if you look at their valuation at a 0.039, that's stunningly cheap. I've rarely seen stocks that cheap. That's a stock that's cheaper than HIMS when HIMS used to be cheap. And this is a company, Mazda, that is trading at 0.2 times sales. So the market is really pricing this company for bankruptcy, which is surprising because analysts are predicting up 23% revenue growth next 12 months. So I don't know what's going on with Mazda, but it might be an interesting play. They have a great gross margin for 21%, and the EBITDA margin is 7%. Of course, I'm only buying Tesla. In all of these companies, I'm only buying Tesla because studying Tesla, given the size of my position in Tesla, already takes a bunch of my free time. And so the question is, do you have free time to go study BYD or NIO or Mazda? I don't. But just looking at the numbers, if I were to focus my energies on studying another company in there, it would be probably BYD first and then Mazda second, because BYD has many, many more electric vehicle success. Mazda is just starting out. These two are interesting to me, BYD and Mazda. So thank you for the comments that suggested Mazda here. And this is it. This was a very short video today. I don't have much to say. Not investment advice, no financial advice. Of course, this is just entertainment. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.